What is up, y'all? Welcome to Last Week on Instagram. This is the series where we take a look at my Instagram posts from the last week and we take a deeper dive into those posts because, we're trying to beat the algorithm on Instagram. So the videos can only be so long. The captions have to be so short to help us push in the algorithm. So now let's take a little deeper dive and see what we got going on here. All right, so our first post we're going to take a look at. Okay, so we have Phelps pulling. So what I want y'all to notice is right here, I think I have it slowed down, right? So one, even during his chest press, because I know a lot of people like to drop their head, right? And we may have to watch this a little bit further or a little bit more in depth. But the first thing that happens is a lot of people will drop their forehead, which makes the whole background and makes it really hard to get the arms into that narrow space and up, right? Whereas if you're more elongated, you can get to that spot a whole lot easier. So that's the first thing I want y'all to notice. Now, the second thing is from where, no matter where that chin is, like I said, I think it's more elongated and up. First thing it's gonna do is curl back. I don't think I can frame this one by one. No, I can. All right, so let's watch. Chin's gonna lift up first. Right? So if we go with his hip, so his knee to chest line, we can see his head's above his chest. Right? So that's his body line. Even though we're downhill, the importance is the motor skill. Okay? Because the motor skill is what the body feels. So I could be upside down, but if I feel myself come above my chest line, that's going to be the first thing that my brain, that I need to program myself to do. So that's what we see here from Phelps. Chin comes above his body line, and that's how we end up with this perfectly timed. We're breathing what looks like breathing first. Arms come out second, right? To do that, you have to be lifting the head up first while you're deep underwater. All right, we can see a chin, nice big space, driving through the chest. Hands up at the surface because he's got that range of motion because he's not burying his chin. And there we have his line. Head is up first. Okay? So that's the main thing I want to realize. And we have this, it's actually free right now, our free technique solutions library for college needs and fundamental fly. And what that is the fundamental club content is it's the first universal, not universal, but first high conversion fly drill progression content. So you get in there, you're going to find, we try and teach butterfly and we got to do a bunch of different drills to try and teach all the motor skills. This is very straightforward. I want to say it's 3 skills and, you develop all the motor patterns that create butterfly, right? When we teach this, it's without the knees. So it's just understanding how to use the hips, how to pull and timing with the hips, how to recover and timing with the butt, going up and the chest press and then breathing at the right time. And then that segues into the college needs fly, which are the things you need to know to perform at a high level so you can go to college, right? Give yourself the tools you need to swim your best butterfly, but also the movement patterns that a flyer in college needs to be at their best, be able to train butterfly. Because if you're a freestyler, you train freestyle, right? You're a backstroker, you train backstroke. There's a lot of times you have people who are flyers who can't train fly because their technique is inefficient or it's too powerful to train, and you got to tone it into the correct range of motion, which is what we do, and then we teach you how to dial it up from power to less power. So that is it's a free lifetime access. I'll put it in the description below. Let me know what y'all think about that. A universal high conversion. I'd say its purpose really, when I coached, it was for our 8 to 9 year olds, but if I was running a whole team, it would be purpose for the 6 to 8 year olds. And then by the time they're 9, then we add in the power stuff, right? So they're learning the college level skills at a young age to produce power, to move with more power, to be able to train fly at a young age, right? Without being stressed. And then we change it to a 50 as they get older and 100 as they get older. But nonetheless, that's when we would train that. And then we would add in those world-class skills at that 13, 14 age range where we're trying to put people on the junior national team, right? So, but anyway, free lifetime access, cup fundamentals, and college needs. Let's jump onto our next video. So I also noticed this. Let's see, I'm gonna show you all this. I was watching this video. There was this chick, and she was talking about how people don't pay attention to their reels. I mean, I do, but I don't. But the performance. And it was after I posted this one. And it did really well, right? We can see like 197,000 views, 3,000 comments. You know, I only have, I think I was under 19K at the time I posted this. This was a huge reason why I boosted up so high, right? So I was like, okay, let me take this advice, run another butterfly. So you can see this one, pretty high performance, less likes, but way more comments. Okay, so that's the video we're gonna look at next. All right, so here I am talking about all elite butterflies. So Phelps, Milok, and Marchand. And it's the arms swinging forward low to the surface of the water and down the pool. Whereas we're going to see another video. I think I have Josh Liendo. Let me see. Yeah, where they're kind of diving down. And this is a big part of being able to train fly, is making sure your momentum is traveling forward, whether it's your pull and especially your recovery, because, you know, that's free forward motion. Then your butt comes up, your feet come up, you push the water through that up kick, carries you right into your next pull. And like we saw in the Phelps video, being able to keep those hands up while you're going down keeps them at the surface so you can get surface to surface pull action. So this low and wide swing, pinkies on top. Let me see if I can pause it. Right, pinkies on top. Pinkies on top from Milok. When you do that, it allows, and you swing wide, the chest opens. You also can send the arms in any direction, right? So being able to send them wide means that now you can take that momentum and send them up. You can send it forward. Obviously, we don't want to be in front of the body, but as I send them up, I'm going down, and boom, now they're pointed forwards, right? But you gotta open up the chest and get wide. And the benefits of that, like I said over here, instant chest press, right? Like I just showed y'all, when I swing them wide, I can reach up. And the chest press isn't just pressing your chest, guys, because your hand might go with it. It's changing this angle, right? So if I'm swinging wide and I go down and I keep my hands up, I'm instantly into my chest press. Then we have our hip pull connection. Your hands aren't sinking, right? So we talked about that Phelps video, right, where his hand was at the surface to surface. Let's just go back and see if this loads up correctly. Yeah, here we go. All right. Boom. Instant chest press. You can see the angle that I'm talking about, and you can see his pull gets to go surface to surface, right? Whereas if he had chopped down, this is likely where his hands would have been, right? And then he's got to out sweep to bring him back up. It's just unnecessary extra time for drag and non-propulsion in your world-class technique, right? So you got to cut that out. Arm momentum swing only travels forward. Yeah, right there. Arm, hand, shoulder angle occurs. You know, got a lot of comments, a lot of good stuff from that. And we got the Young Jeezy Trap Star song. All right, let's take it to the next video. So here we have the secret to Petey's pulling. So this one, guys, I'm super proud of. When I was in college, my freshman year, so I'd have been freshman year, yeah. I'd have been 19 years old. You know, 18, you turn 19. I'm a December baby, December 20th. Birthday just happened. Happy birthday to me, right? I had kind of came up with this pull because I was like trying to just add all this freestyle stuff to my breaststroke, right? And I had like 3 different breaststroke pulls. I had the natural one that I didn't really know anything about. I just knew it was a breaststroke pull. It's a very frog pull, or not frog, summer league-ish pull. I had my, you know, the massage in the water, but I guess I had some extra gifts I didn't know of, just naturally, right? So I had that. I had a upside down bicep curl where you go here, right? Slide wide, bicep curl, slide, shoe. Bicep curl, slide, shoe. And that obviously became the L skull. Now that I started Rakely, I hope y'all like the t-shirt. What's in the box? What's in the box? Her pretty little head. But I remember like how much stress it caused, like muscle stress, which is good. You know, you want, I think it's called ineffective or disadvantageous lever. Like that's what you want, as many of those as you can when you're swimming. That's how we get our power for swimming, because we don't have leverage against the ground, right? And we're in a relatively gravity-less environment. I forget the right word, but not gravity-less. Anyway. So the main thing here I'm going to give away. Anyway, what I'll say. I finally have breaststrokers who are like at the level to teach this to, and they're really starting to get it down. And what I said here is I tried to give away some free content, right? So I asked them, what do you see? I think back then when I created it, they're 2010, still freshman year, that's when I was 19. I'm an 09, 19 freshmaner. And I called it a trapezoid pull, right? Because you're here, you're diagonal, and then you're through the bottom, right? So it looked like a trapezoid. And I realized, like, oh my gosh, like this is so stressful on my muscles. So I was like, this has to be wrong. This is before I knew what I know now about mechanical advantages and disadvantages. And the mechanical disadvantage is good for swimming because you need to be able to feel that muscle stress to make power. Whereas, like, I think it's a complex lever. What is it? It's like whatever type of simple machine that has multiple leverage point or bending leverage points, whatever, that makes movement or moving things easier. That's not good for swimming. Harder to move is better for swimming because it means they take more muscle, and you need to be able to recruit muscle to make power in swimming. But you like when you're doing these things on land, like doing a squat with bent knees and bent hips, you can move a lot more weight versus if you just did a RDL at your hips with the same amount of weight, you're not coming back up, right? So things like that. But anyway, first 5 people who could point it out. 5 selected. You know, I had some people in here who were actually in my course guessing. But I wrote down, boom. I couldn't quite tell exactly what it was, you know, so I had to give some hints. You see Jerry, shout out to Jerry with a really good guess. But the number one thing, like, you got to realize, I said the key is in the out sweep, is he doesn't have an out sweep, guys. Look at his palms right here. They're kind of angled down. So you know which way he's pressing. There's no lateral out sweep. And then if you watch his hand, elbow, shoulder line, we see it going, normally in an out sweep, even if the hand was under the elbow, it would stay level the whole way, right? We immediately see his changing levels as all 3 points, right? All 3 points start moving to align themselves, which means he's pressing the water down. And we can kind of tell that, or out and down. And then we see him pop through that under the barrel. So with the Rakely content we teach them 3 breaststroke pulls, right? There's the down sweep one, which is probably the closest to the traditional breaststroke pull you see, where they're moving in towards the body. We have the around and under the barrel, which is the true version of the IM pull, where they're here and they go around and then try and squeeze through. But there's an actual way to do it that doesn't involve you're moving through the water like this, right? This huge blob of slowness. And then we have the L skull pull. Well, there's the wrist rolling pull, which is, you know, very small. The wrists don't really change angles to create better surface areas. It's just pretty much through here, right? And great fundamental breaststroke pull has like no drag, no negative propulsion. It's a great beginner breaststroke pull. And it's almost pretty much a skull. Speaking of which, other than the PD pull, you have to start thinking about your breaststroke as sculling. There's no backwards motion. If you're doing backwards motions with intention, you're fighting through water. All right, you are an archaic dinosaur, and I'm here to wipe you out. You're like, there's a reason why the world is stuck at 57 high and 58 low. Dinosaurs. It's a skull. which is a whole nother story about how everything I've learned, I realized I had that was wrong. That's a whole nother story, all 4 strokes. But a big, no, I'm not going to say that. Anyway, so with this, like I said, I finally had to ask my athletes, or my breaststrokers are getting old enough for me to actually teach them this skill, and they're nailing it. Like one kid, he learned it in one day. It was like 30 minutes maybe. Very, very impressive. And so now I finally have video footage of it. And normally when I teach an athlete, there's like a little struggle period where they kind of are a little janky, a little rough around the edges, trying to like develop their spatial awareness with the movement in their body and where they need to be in space. But yeah, this kid got it in 30 minutes. Great video. So I have everything I need after one day of teaching it. So once that course becomes live, these 5 people will have access to it. So shout out to y'all. Let's see what we got next. All right, our last video. So here we can see what I'm talking about. And you can just see the difference in their energy pathways down the pool. Milak versus Leandro. Like one of them is clearly going down to get their butt up and one of them is trying to go forward. And at the end of the race, when you're running out of gas, this is everything. This is everything. Now, I will say this. The chop down that Leandro's doing is very good for like a 50 fly. But instead of coming in behind the head, you would come in under the head. Somebody who does this, I mean, I'd say she's probably the worst example of somebody to teach butterfly about. Because well, until you research it. And I haven't researched it, so I'll say that. But just off of the technique and the people I've seen use the technique, Summer McIntosh uses a sprint 50 butterflyers technique, like a 50 butterflyer. Most people who are actual 50 butterflyers do not swim the 100. And Summer swims with that. So it's like there's something there to be learned. But if Josh, and it takes a lot of power to do, so like a guy I think would be out of the question, especially when they're running out of gas. But for this to work for Josh, he would have to stay up and swing under his chin to keep him flat and just pop his butt up after every one of those. And that's usually what sprint flyers do. But yeah, you can just watch these two and you can tell who's going forward and who isn't. It's very easy to see. So that is why, and obviously, you know, when I was breaking down film, it was like, 09, Milak wasn't the guy yet. So Phelps, though, was, right? And Phelps, like I said in the earlier video, Marchand and, Christoph and then Marchand were the only people who swam with a high level of comparison to what I saw Phelps did, right? So when they, Milak comes around, he's dominating, beating people by 5 seconds. It's like, oh, well, of course. He's doing the same high efficiency stuff Phelps is doing. Marchand comes along. Well, of course he's beating everybody in 5 seconds and then, takes down the king. Younger, more athletic, doing the same stuff that the GOAT is doing, Phelps. But back then, I looked at Phelps' film, and even down to the breathing stuff, like I showed y'all, I used Phelps as my template for building fly, because if I wanted to train fly, I needed to have the thing that made the most power and was the most efficient. Was the most efficient and made the most power within that level of efficiency. And like my fastest 100 fly, I swam a 200 free at a pro-am meet, won it 133.0, came back 20 minutes later and went a 46.55 in my 100 fly. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean much, but back then, 46 made the A final in the 100 fly, right? So 20 minutes after that, I'd have been an A final 100 flyer if I was still in college, which begs the question, what could I have done fresh? I know I'd have been 45. I could have probably been 45-1 because I didn't train fly either when in college. So, efficiency, being able to train it, right? And that's why I said, like I said, I'm going to put that free content below. Come join us in the Rakeley Technique Solutions and that free content, free butterfly development or technique solutions library content, development, technique, whatever you want to call it. But everything else you're good at, you swim and practice, right? Comment and let me know what you think about that, right? And fly is the only one you don't. You do 100s free, you do 200s free, you do 500, 400 frees in practice. You never do most people will never do a 100 fly that they can sustain and repeat in practice in the same way. with the same respect that they give to other strokes. So my thoughts are, if you have butterflies or you have people, for girls, I always say like the mark of sub-minute butterflies. If they can't train fly, you have a serious issue on your hand to break that barrier. So anyway, y'all, thanks for hanging out. We went a little over, a little 5 minutes over, but we still made it. Make sure that you hit that notification bell, hit the like buttons. Please subscribe so you can boost us in the algorithm. Get this message out to the people who need it. There's a lot of people with struggle fly, and they need to know that there is a free lifetime access answer. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this video, and I will catch y'all later. Peace.